Hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Mothership tonight. We're continuing our Gradient Descent crawl campaign, something like that. We ended on the death of a very beloved character last time around, and yet
Jerry.
Ashley's here anyway, which is really strange.
Right?
We killed your character. I'm not sure if you watched it. Did you watch the last step?
Yes, I was there for like 98% of it.
98%. You missed the last 2% when
I did.
When the
I
milk
rewatched it later.
Flowed.
Dribbled, you know.
I should know that. That's something.
Scattered.
Veronique, how's it going? All right. So yeah, we had a very sad death, which was very funny for me on this side of it. It made me laugh. But nonetheless, we're there, and we had a couple other interesting little tidbits. I don't know how much Ashley like. There's also other things that came in that last little encounter that were kind of
Menton
interesting
did
as well.
But his face did not.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask, why were you guys so chill about talking to fucking Monarch?
we forgot to RP our stress.
Don't some of you
bald.
have like 19 stress or something? Like some of you are
Yes.
crazy if there's stress.
I have 17 after we spent a night together, Steven and I.
Yeah, it was good for one of us.
Exactly.
I don't so much like character death as I like driving them to the brink of madness to where they then kill each other. That's
really there.
Did you not
That's
get
what
your
I
fill of
prefer.
that from Delta Green?
Have you figured out yet that there's a little bit of that kind of stuff going on in this campaign? A little bit of that going on?
Yep.
I'm numb to
I have a
it
type.
already.
I have a type. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, we had some interesting stuff drop at the end of last week. We'll see, what all it mattered. Actually, a lot of little interesting little nuggets happened in the last session as I started going through the notes of what went down. But yeah, we'll dive into the summary in a second. But why don't we go ahead and do some? Oh god, we gotta hydrate already. Yeah, everyone drink your pseudo milk. Oh, pseudo milk.
See, I saw it right
choice.
away, so I got to drink my water before you made the pseudo joke.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had nice water that I enjoyed.
Well, I think let's go ahead and introduce some characters. Melissa, tell us about Liko and how is she doing? Well, what's up?
Liko was feeling more stressed at the beginning of last session than she is currently. She found a teddy bear drawn on the floor and hugged it and took some comfort in it. Nobody else wanted to, but she actually did get a little bit of stress back from doing that. So it actually worked. My little hugging a two-dimensional drawing of a teddy bear.
As Derek was saying before we went live, I really have to think about the consequences now of you hugging that bear because they might be far-reaching.
just scabies everywhere.
Scabies, yeah, exactly. Oh, let's see. All right, next up we've got Helix. Long, tell us about Helix.
Yeah, I'm Helix. I've got mediocre strength, speed, abysmal combat. Got a mediocre intellect, but with that intellect, I trained and specialized in computers, hacking, math.
That is true. How are you feeling? How is Helix feeling about the death of Jerry?
Not too, maybe a little bit indifferent. I mean, we did make choices to save him and try to reconcile with Monarch, and now he's dead. I guess he'll have to figure that out, see what happens.
Okay. Because you worked harder than anybody to rescue Jerry. But then you guys shoved his face into a retina scanner, took a nap, and saw him having a weird conversation with a bunch of android parts on the ground. And then things got weird after that. He just got really snippy. I don't know what's going on.
They did. He was rude.
Strange.
He was rude.
He was very rude. He really was. Started to get very upset with everybody. All right, next up, we've got Dr. Leo Menton. Derek, tell us about Dr. Leo Menton.
I liked Long's introduction. So Dr. Menton is about as strong as an uncooked strand of angel hair pasta. He's about as fast as a wet blanket being thrown into a breeze. He's pretty smart, and he's got as much combat prowess as Bambi. And he's a retired doctor who's balding now from stress. I have 17 stress.
Bambi did make it through, unlike Bambi's mother. Spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't seen like a 70-year-old.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, all right. Bambi did make it out. She was spry, dodge around, whatever. Okay. Next up,
What about Old Yeller? I never saw the end of that one.
Old
Oh,
Yeller?
What happens in that one, Jeff?
Well, Old Yeller gets this is the story my parents told me. Old Yeller. Oh, we had a neighbor who works for the canine unit with the local law enforcement. So they got him in canine school. That's what happened. So he's now
He's an educated dog.
Yeah, that's the story. That's the story we were told when I was young, when I was like 12 or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Something sounds fishy here, but I didn't want to ask too many questions.
Old Yeller got his GED.
Old Yeller. Old
Continuing
Yeller.
education.
Old Yeller became, definitely got a master's degree, PhD, and just got into therapy. It was great. Therapy dog. All right, Steven, tell us about Reed.
Yeah, Reed is an Adonis. He's been forged in the fire of battle, and he cannot die. He's an ex-Marine. He really knows what he's doing. Android's got nothing on him. In fact, he operates with such superhuman precision. He might be an android himself for all he knows. He hasn't been bleeding enough to find out, except for that shotgun to the neck, but that doesn't count.
So you have one wound left, correct?
Yeah.
You're one wound away from dying, right? So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure you understand how that works. Okay. And let me just check how many armor points you. Oh, I'll also have one armor point. Okay.
The tank top doesn't do much to protect me, but it helps me move faster, so it's fine.
16 stress. Okay. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Not great, Bob. And then finally, Ashley, tell us about Abby, who picked probably a good session to miss last time. Tell us about Abby.
So I am playing Abby, and she's basically like, she's our resident nurse. Her bedside manner probably isn't the best, and she's stressed out. I have 18 stress after our stress reduction activities of the previous session. I'm very close to taking my first wound. I have 2 out of 15 health before I get my first one. And she's going a little crazy. Everything
You're
that happened.
18 after
Yeah, I was at
doing stress
19.
reduction.
Did we do that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you rolled for me. I got one.
I did
off.
roll for you. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Because that was that whole like roll divided by 10 thing. We're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's roll. Divide that by 10. Okay.
Yep.
You've got to roll, you got to pass, and then
You
gotta
had to
divide
roll
by 10.
under, and our goal was like 30. We had to roll under 30, and then
Yeah.
whatever that was, divide by 10. So the
Yep.
most we could get was 3.
Didn't we have some relations happening last time too? I
Yeah,
think?
we were
Yeah.
talking Leo and
Dr.
Reed.
Menton.
That's right. Menton and Leo. Okay. That's nice. So, let's dive in. Let's do that. This is like my favorite sound. I love this. Okay. So
It hasn't
last
quite
episode-
gotten to ice cream truck level yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
Well, I should put ice cream truck on this, but
When
I
there's
don't have
battle
it.
music and then that sound goes off, my stress just goes.
You should mark it. You should mark that down. So
We're not
on
there
your character
yet.
sheet. Okay. So door chimes from hell. It's totally true. All right. So last episode, you escaped from Eden on floor 2, and then you returned to floor 1. You had Jerry in tow. Stress was running very high. Liko, as she already mentioned, had a very odd reaction to a very recently graffiti teddy bear on the ground. That was fun. Reed found a broken clay sculpture, something children make in ceramics class, and sort of discovered that the shards seemed to match up to old scar on his arm, that he'd actually forgotten how he got that scar. And one of the shards seemed to have like his name, EID, like Reed, like kind of sketched in, etched into the bottom of it. Let's see. Instead of you guys didn't leave, you stayed, you hung around, and you decided to continue exploring the station. And you decided, you know what we're gonna do? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna bring Jerry to that retina scanner. And so you did. You brought that makeshift retina scanner in that storage room. You guys are so obsessed with that. It's hilarious.
We are.
And then during that, Liko tried to like open the wall up, and that suddenly Monarch was like, all right. So you heard the sound of Monarch suddenly come onto the intercom to talk to you. An argument transpired. That's all I'm going to say. And ultimately, Monarch offered you a reward with millions of credits, right? And also redemption for the evils of all the horrible things that they say that you've done. Now, there are two tasks that they suggested you try to complete. The first one was destroy the Minotaur, who you've heard about from Nordico and from others. And described it as a monster that was threatening the androids of Eden. And second, they wanted you to find and kill the Mind Thief, who operates somewhere on floor 3 near Brain Construction, and is apparently the one responsible, according to Monarch at the very least, for the damage that was done to Jerry's personality processing unit that led to his need to be reformatted in the first place. Let's see. So you agreed at the very least to end the conversation. I don't know if you're... I think you might be following me through it. I'm not really sure. You decided to go ahead and take a little rest in the cubicle camp. You awoke. That's when Jerry was starting to act weird. You saw him. He was conversing. Liko found him as he'd wandered off, and he was literally talking to this array of android parts that were flashing lights and trying to communicate somehow. Eventually, Jerry led you to floor 2 because he said that there was a different path that you could take to get to the entrance to floor 3, and also somewhere in the labyrinth of floor 2 is the Minotaur. However, when he dropped out of the vents into the sewer main, he was shot with a submachine gun by another diver that was in that room. You killed the diver, you looted all their things, and Jerry's body suffered critical damage, but his logic core and his personal processing unit might still be retrievable. While searching through the items of the dead diver, you found a few interesting things. One of them was a strange disc of some kind. Another one was a bag of teeth. Not strange. Very clearly it was a bag of teeth. Nothing strange about it. A black urn and a dossier. This leather dossier bearing the logo of Advanced Systems Limited. And when you opened it up, you found a handwritten note that was talking about the assembly yard. And there was something about artifact, ? So maybe there's an artifact in the assembly yard. And there was also a printout communication from Deborah Stoniark of Advanced Systems Limited, the same Deborah Stoniark who invited you all to take advantage of this particular lead. And the wording of the letter was exactly the same as it was to you all. So we're going to pick up right there. I want all of you to begin by hitting the whole the blind roll that gets sent to me as we start, as you are all standing over top of the body of Jerry as he's twitching. Nearby, the dead body of this diver is bleeding.
Yeah, can we call him the Holy Diver?
You sure can. Okay, the Holy Diver nearby. And as you're going through these things, the combination of all three of these things is probably driving you all. It's just making you all a little edgy. So everyone go ahead and roll that little test I have you do, the blind test, please. As I get some music up.
Everybody rolled.
Okay. And I was smart this time, and I put your tokens on, so now I can easily see who had bad stuff happen to them.
None of us, right? Right? None of us?
Did you give me a stress last time, Jeff?
Yeah, for something. I can't remember what, though.
Okay.
I would have to go back and look, and I don't remember.
No, I'm making sure I got it.
I think I put it on there, though.
Cool.
I think you're set. I think your sheet should be set. I was giving it a 9.
Perfect. Sweet.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So all of you are watching as Jerry's body twitches out, as this diver body twitches out, and you're reading through this message, and you see the same woman in the same company. And as the bodies come to a rest, you hear that same sort of chime, distant kind of echo through the sort of the sewer pipes and vents. You can hear it kind of muffled coming down that sort of hidden route that took you to that flesh statue. What would you all like to do?
I want to see.
I think I'd like to take out all those speakers making that chime. Every single one. Let's rip them out.
So in this room, to remind you all, you don't see any actual speakers in here, but you see some what you think are like repurposed like sewer scanning equipment. You can tell it was at some point these things were probably used to monitor various sewer systems, like water processing and filtration, because you know that the next giant room is the filtration system, but they've been like repurposed somehow. You know, there's another dead body in here that had that like spongy thing that you took out of the chest, and you know that the first time you were in here, that those weird machines all along the wall, they charged, flashed, and then they've gone inert ever since. But that was way back when. So you look around for anything that might be a speaker, and you don't hear it. You hear the sound of the chime muffled, echoing through the vent that you know leads back towards that one room that had the very tall, like 10-foot tall flesh statue that kept moving every time you would return. It changed its position.
Is there enough time for me to patch up anyone who took some hits with my first aid kit while we're near some fresh bodies?
If you want to, yeah, you can hang out here and do that, sure.
Who took some hits? Reed, did you take any hits?
Oh, I've never been hurt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, well then, if no one else took any damage, I'll patch myself up, I guess.
I can assist you.
I think Reed is close to dying.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything to me.
Fine.
Reed's trying to die.
Stephen really commits to the role play.
Leo would see with his eyes lots and lots of blood and die.
I was gunfight and I was bleeding, but I've already been patched up, so I'm good. And Reed just thinks he can't die.
Okay.
Nico wants to kind of go over to Jerry. And I don't know that I'm particularly good at any of these things. I do have like industrial equipment and jury rigging. I don't know if either of those things would help me. Because Liko was genuinely wanting to be supportive of Jerry and sort of this individuation that had kind of come up with his programming and whatnot. So if I can try to do some recovery.
Okay. So you have industrial something or other, and you have like industrial tools and heavy machinery or something like that.
I have industrial equipment as a skill.
Okay.
And jury rigging is a skill, so they're both trained skills for whatever that's worth.
So that would help to some degree, but you're not entirely sure exactly what you're looking for as the designs. Like you're kind of going through, like you're breaking down less of a heavy machine and more breaking down the tower of a computer. So you're having to sort of dig through various highly processed, very small, very complicated like chips. So you would probably know from working with them, Helix might be more suited to such a task.
So Liko's going to start because like she wants to kind of do this, and then she's going to kind of to break everything open. And then kind of look over to Helix and be like, Helix, I might need your hand over here.
I can give her a hand after I look into Jerry's processing, if they think it's eligible.
So I'll say, with the two of you together, you put your heads together, and in the time it takes Menton to kind of patch himself up, so we're talking like, you're probably here 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so doing this kind of stuff. I'll say the two of you, no roll necessary. You can break down the salvageable sections. Helix, you would be able to know what to look for. Liko probably has some decent skills in how to like disassemble parts of so you're not having to carry the whole body around. You're only carrying around the various, like maybe you're just carrying the head around here and there, that kind of thing. But I would say you have the last remnants of Jerry. You have his logic core, and you have his PP, his personality processing unit. Those two things combined could be potentially implanted into another android, or some other system to potentially find him again somehow.
Quick question for the patching of myself. I combine the field medicine plus my intellect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have our own little kind of special rules for healing that I dropped in the... Where is it? I don't know where I put it. In the rules and such thing. Yeah, go ahead and go into there.
Well, I
and do that.
posted a first aid kit because that's what I was going to be using, which just has basically like the depleting.
It's a depleting thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we're playing it. Okay, so you have his head. Reed and Abby, what have you been doing while Menton's patching himself up and while Lego and Helix are performing this salvage surgery?
Abby's really distressed about them digging into Jerry's body. So she's trying to be cool about it, but she's not. So she's mostly just awkwardly hovering around Dr. Menton and like critiquing what he's doing and saying you're doing that wrong. But she's not helping.
I'm sorry. I'm patching myself up and you're criticizing my own work against me. Don't you have something to be doing somewhere else that isn't here?
What are you talking about? Did you not witness like fucking Monarch talk to us and shit?
I mean,
why are we still here?
Well, I wanted to rest back at camp, but we didn't make time for that, so you're asking the wrong person. But I mean, $1 million sounds kind of nice. I could probably afford better clothes or maybe get my license back. That'd be kind of cool, assuming we make it out of here.
Did you like the likelihood of us surviving is like non-existent? So why is 1 million credits really worth it? And like you'll watch as she's like gets into her pack and she gets out scissors and she's like reaches for your head like, can I help trim this up?
I've lost enough hair, thanks. We're just gonna unless you're good. No,
please.
No, we're good. I have bald spots. I don't think cutting my hair is gonna make it look any better unless you're gonna like glue what you cut into the patches I'm missing. But I don't think that's gonna work.
I don't have glue, but maybe blood would work. Like
I'm gonna pass on that. I've seen enough blood. We've got the holy diver over here and Jerry over there.
Okay. And then at that point Abby just kind of stops, but she's holding the scissors and she's just like opening and closing them and opening and closing them as she's standing over you, and like that's it.
So when Abby references Jerry, so like Helix has kind of finished Jerry and we sort of have the head there, you're gonna see Liko is just sort of muttering to Jerry, and just like, I don't understand why you're just being such a pain in the ass. Like, you had your own personality, you were kind of doing your own thing. That was cool. It was interesting. And then, I don't know, you were just being a jerk. I don't know why. But we're gonna put you back in somewhere else. Not that buddy. That buddy. Yeah, that one's gone. Sorry. Hope you weren't particularly attached to it. But we're gonna find you something different. And she's just sort of off in the corner, just sort of having a little chat with Jerry's head.
Reed would also be very distraught about Jerry. So he would be hovering as they're doing the surgery as well. And I think he would start like trying to say a couple like solemn words like, Jerry, we hardly knew you, but you were a good man, and well, and then he would just start singing Amazing Grace because he doesn't know what else to do. Amazing
We got it. We can go past it. Yeah.
I can get all 3 wrong verses.
Sweet. Okay. All right. 20, 30 minutes pass. Everyone's a little on edge. It's been a little while since you've heard a chime. You've probably been in this room for 30 to 40 minutes at this point now. There are 3 different ways that you know of out of this room. You know that one of them goes back the way you came, which is crawling through a vent back to the executive washroom. You know that another It takes you into this massive chamber with all sorts of different like filtration systems. Liko, Abby, that's where you left the bodies of your, and respectively, Liko, I think it was your cousin Glenn, an art teacher, and Abby, it was your Aunt Vicky. Their bodies are still in there. It's also where Helix and Leo found a dead diver grinded into a like these different gears, and you also know that there's another path here that's the last time you went through is with those chosen androids that takes you into the room, the visitor shrine with the flesh statue. You also have a bag of this person's items and things. Then there's their body too, and like they have like pockets and things like that as well. So you could always like scour the corpse as well.
Yeah, I know we found like notes to advanced systems on him. Did we get an idea of like what he was down here for? The same thing they sent us for?
You found a letter that was not addressed to you all. Although Leo is referring to him as Holy Diver, when you look at the letter, that is again the exact same wording as it was that Deborah Stoniark sent to you. It's addressing a person by the name of Samuel Spunkmeyer. And you also, and then that's that, like, and they were carrying a bag, and you kind of emptied the bag, and that's where all those different items were. If you go through, they do have a few things in their pockets and stuff as you go through them. You do find a wallet of some kind with a cred card, like a cred chip, basically. You find what looks like a hollow projection. As you kind of pull up the card, you can see like a family photo, kind of grimly kind of pops up of a wife. There's 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And there's a dog, and there's Mr. Spunkmeyer, presumably. You find a blood-stained ID card that seems to be bearing the name Samuel Spunkmeyer. The logo and name of the company, though, has been worn away, and there's only a capitalized E in Open Sans font. When you take a look at the cred card, and you kind of like run it through your own kind of personal scanner, it has 3,445 credits on it. But that's all.
Felix, do you
And that's
tell
the-
us that
the
you
full
found
extent.
some credits?
Of course, I have no reason to withhold that information.
Yes, Rennie, that's a lot of teeth.
So Abby's definitely against going in the room with like the giant statue. So which way would you guys prefer to go?
Wait, it's giant statue room is the one with the filters in it, right?
No,
Okay.
the giant statue is the one that goes back towards Eden, with all the flesh pillars and stuff, where there's a room outside of that, an antechamber that had like a big old 10-foot tall statue made of pseudo flesh.
Go through the filters.
All right.
Come on, guys. It'll be fun.
Okay.
Liko wants to
Does
see.
the next android?
Is there anything that we can just sort of? I'm looking for a piece of fabric or something to kind of put over this gentleman that we murdered.
There's no fabric, but you notice in the corner of the room there is a coffin that is perfectly sized for Samuel Spunkmeyer. No, there's nothing like that in here. You don't see any cloth.
I was like, wait, how did we miss
Sorry,
that?
I forgot. We used to play Delta Green. You probably think that was true. No, you look around. You don't. No. There's nothing in terms of cloth. Nothing in here looks particularly salvageable. There is another body in here, so I mean, you could drag that body on top of this one. So. Also, Jerry had
He
clothes.
He got what he deserved.
I was about to say
monarch
the
is
body's already
secret.
covered in clothes, so it's got fabric on it.
Well, okay. Then what?
He murdered Jerry. Why are you even worried about it?
He had a family. Didn't you see he got sucked
Probably
into the
murdered them
same
too.
thing we got sucked in, and like we're all just gonna be here just killing each other, and then what good was that?
That's a really difficult question to be asking given the circumstances. I'm more curious why the letter's a carbon copy of what we all got.
What if this wasn't an actual job?
I was thinking the same thing. What if we're just sent here to be farmed? Like some kind of crop.
Just feeding the machine?
You think it was some
Literally.
kind of like scam email, like like the Nigerian prince type thing?
No.
Yeah, we're a
it'd
little
be
bit
more
further
like
than
If you
Nigeria.
don't send this, you'll be cursed. Your mom, kind of thing.
Well,
Not that
We
you-
should ask Arcadia about it.
The letter is signed. Just remember that. It actually has a signature of Deborah Stoniak on it. All right, so you push into
That's all
the
right.
filtration room. Okay, you move in, and again, it's very dark, so you have to, whoever's got flashlights or something, you get those out, and you can hear the sounds of machinery going again, the various pistons. If you remember the last time you were here, the body had been sort of had ground the machinery to a halt in one section, and then when Helix and Leo removed it and left it nearby, things kind of started moving again. So you can hear it's much noisier now than when the first time you were in here. You get about 20 feet in, and it's very tight quarters initially because of all the machinery that's shifting and moving about, and you can see your lights are kind of reflecting off various burnished metals. And you notice that laying in the ground, almost where you left them, are the bodies of your cousin Glenn, Liko, and your aunt Vicky. However, there's one difference. They have been moved ever so slightly. And you can see that there's some markings on the ground where their bodies are.
Abby would go. She wants to see what the markings are.
Okay. So when you kind of stand over, you kind of shine around, you notice that there's this big like circle that seems to have been drawn around them, like really, really big, like a good couple feet in diameter. And it all looks to be in some kind of oil, like just sort of the smeared circle. You can tell it's still wet and sludgy. And you can see that where the bodies are, they're basically kind of horizontal on sort of the top part of the body, or excuse me, of the circle, excuse me. And then you can see that underneath them there is this kind of curved half moon line. It almost seems like this whole thing is making a smiley face with the bodies of your aunt and your cousin as the eyes.
Is the material used for this in any way similar to the teddy bear graffiti
No, I mean
from the other room?
You get down, you take a Swiss. No, it's machine grease, oil. It's whatever is used to lubricate these machines.
This is just disgusting.
Who the fuck did this?
I don't, and realizing because not everyone was here at the time, just explaining like that's my uncle.
that's your uncle?
Yeah,
It is.
that's my aunt.
Reed, when you look down at the figure that Liko identifies as her uncle, but is in fact your cousin, by the way, not your uncle.
Yeah.
I think that's
God, here we
referred
go.
to as. Reed, you noticed a couple things. First of all, you notice that the hands, much like we've talked about before, are a little different. Like the fingers are synthetic, and it looks like they're kind of covered in some sort of weird kind of pasty substance. But then, Reed, you kind of tilt your head and you look at the face a little bit as the head kind of cocks, like kind of flops back over a little bit as you know, they're kind of being inspected ever so slightly, and you recognize this, and then suddenly a memory just rushes back into your head of art class. You were a kid, you think? You remember a table? You remember wet clay? You remember making a mug? And you remember this figure standing over top of you, instructing you on how to properly score the clay when you splice together multiple pieces.
This is my art teacher. I failed that class. Yeah, they were trying to make me make a mug, and I gave it. I remember I gave it to my daddy, and he thought it was an ashtray. And I start going through my pockets for those clay shards.
No. This body here. That's my cousin.
That's my art teacher.
What? Leo.
What? What a small
Who
world.
do you see? Is this somebody you
Liko.
know?
Liko and Reed, go ahead and hit that private button that sends stuff to me.
Yes. Done.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a body. I just see two bodies there. But what a small world this is.
Your cousin was an art teacher? That's crazy. What are the odds? Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let's think this through. How old are you again, Reed?
I'm 33.
Can I tell about how old the body of Liko's cousin is?
Yeah, you take a look at it. You'd probably peg them little, maybe in their 40s. Older cousin.
It doesn't make any sense. This is a 40-year-old person. They'd be 7 if they were... well, actually, I guess if you dial the clock back, maybe it could, but I find it highly unlikely.
I mean, I was held back a few years, but yeah, this is definitely it.
Liko wants to look around and see if that body that was in the gears is still in the gears.
No, we took it out.
Okay. I mean, that's a little further inward. You have to kind of... This is a massive room. It would take a while.
Yeah,
You're going to go further in. That's fine. You can head in. So, Liko, what's a memory you have of Glenn? The time you spent with Glenn? Your cousin. The art teacher. Slash uncle. It's that sort of family.
So let's say I'm gonna go with there was a park, so we kind of lived kind of close by to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So like park with like a swing set and like kind of one of those like dome things you kind of climbed over, and so just lots of time, just seeing who could swing higher and that kind of thing.
And that's when you were young, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You I'll tell you this, as you're walking further into this filtration area, right? You hear the horrible banging of pumps and gears as they kind of grind around. The entire ground is sort of like humming with a certain vibration. You start walking back through everything you remember about Glenn and that time when you were in, and you were teens, you did this, and then when you guys were like early 20s, and then at one time at that one time, and then you realize you don't have any memories of adult Glenn in your mind right now. They're just not there. Like your brain is just not firing properly. Maybe it's the stress. But you try to think back to the times in which you spent. Like, no, definitely. Otherwise, how would I have recognized his face, right? Like, there's no possible way. Like, no. And you just can't think of the last time, as an adult, you had time spent with Glenn.
Can we say that Liko is still carrying Jerry like in her bag?
Yeah. So at this point, I would say you can carry his head in like another separate section. So essentially you have his logic core, his face, and his PPU, his personality processing unit.
So I think as long as Liko is carrying Jerry, this is going to be how she like processes things out loud, and so she's just kind of going to be muttering to herself, like I remember the swings, but there were other things we've done. Why can't I remember the other things? I remember the park, and I remember why can't I there were I mean, I can't think of them right now, but there were things, and she just sort of is walking by something that she just kind of just punches whatever nearby piece of metal she's walking by, and it's not going to do good things to her hand, but she's just frustrated with her, like,
sure,
just not.
So yeah, it hurts. Right. You're not gonna break anything, but eventually, a couple minutes climbing over and weaving through, it's not like there's clear paths necessarily, especially now that the machinery is moving. It's actually kind of dangerous here and there sometimes. You have to be a little bit careful. You make it to the place that Menton and Helix described in terms of where they found the diver body. And yeah, the diver body's still there. It's horrific to look at. Like it was partially ground between gears, like these huge heavy machinery gears that you would be familiar with. This has happened before. Like you probably either maybe you saw it, or maybe you were in a company that did it, or you've heard about it, whatever. Like sadly, this has happened before, and this body's just completely torn up. But everything's moving just fine.
Liko just wanted to make sure that this wasn't like an apparition earlier, and it wasn't sort of this body or person that kind of did that art over there. So that's what she was looking to do. And so then she's just going to be muttering to Jerry again, like, I don't understand. And she'll walk back to the group.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is everyone doing while Liko does that? Because that's not instantaneously. So what is everybody else doing?
I think I'd be going with Liko.
Okay, so Reed, you follow Liko. What are the other three doing?
When we were here last time, I don't think we made all the way through, so maybe I'll be at the other end, checking out that area.
Okay, so like searching around, see if you can find another way out. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then Abby and Leo.
Abby will be going along with Helix, but she's on high alert for the Chosen.
Can Leo try and find out, is there an obvious cause of death to the two bodies in the smiley face?
Yeah, so they were like their heads were kind of caved in. You can tell.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And they were impaled against the wall. And remember, they're wearing the troubleshooter, the mercenary gear that shot Reed.
Was I acquainted enough with the butcher or whatever that thing was? Does it look like something it would have done to them?
I don't think you had a ton of time with them. No, I think the only people who had a close-up view of the butcher were Reed and Liko and maybe Abby, because you were kind of at a different area when that whole thing went down.
Okay, so Dr. Menton will call out to Reed and be like, "Hey, Reed, that giant robot with all the different weapons on it, did it have anything that could cave a skull in by any chance?"
It had something that would split a skull, and it had giant fucking feet that could crush something. Yeah.
Wondering what got these two. Doesn't seem like anything an android would use, so that giant behemoth thing is the only thing I think of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it having anything like that, but, who knows? It might have just grabbed a pipe or something.
I think Leo will just continue to hang around the bodies and see if there's like anything he can piece together or work out, and just like investigate.
Yeah, sure. That sounds fine. Go ahead and roll if you would like. You can just roll straight up int. You can add if you have any kind of investigation or like kind of medical knowledge type skills, you can add that as well. Helix, by the way, as you're journeying across, all of you, by the way, it sounds like you're splitting up. Because it sounds like Liko and Reed are towards the middle of the room where the grinding middle gears are. It sounds like Helix went to the far side of the room as he's looking for another place to go. Abby, were you going with Helix or are you staying with the bodies? I forgot. I'm sorry.
I was going with Helix.
Okay, so Helix and Abby are kind of and then Leo, you're by yourself as you remain with the bodies.
Yeah.
Helix and Abby, you do in fact find another way out of this room. You actually notice that there is this fairly large another one of these kind of like, I don't want to call them vents, but they're more this sort of pipe opening, and it is quite large, not to the point where you can fully stand up, but you can kind of like crab walk through it. But it's this industrial circular pipe entry. You can tell that there were some sort of bars that were put in place of it. Like you would imagine at some point sewage might have thrown through here, but it doesn't seem to be doing so currently. And you can tell that someone or something has like ripped the bars apart. But this seems to be the other way out, another way through. You circle around the room and you don't find anything else, like in terms of ways out. Leo, how'd you do on that roll?
I rolled a 41, which is good because that's below the 77 I needed.
Okay. So if you spend some time sort of taking them out of their armor, doing like a full-on investigation, you will notice that all of their digits, their fingers, and then their toes are synthetic. Other than that, like they're very clearly discolored and synthetic in some way. Like they are not in any way, shape, or form are they. They don't have that kind of any sort of suggestion of being real and biological. The second thing you notice is that there was kind of a small little hideaway chamber in the armor in the back. Like it looks like you would think it probably is maybe for some sort of cuffs or something like that. But when you kind of unclasp it as you're trying to remove the armor, you notice inside there appears to be a plastic toy that as you hold it up, it looks like a station of some kind. And now as you start to examine it, you realize it looks, well, that looks just like the station that you're in, the deep that you recall seeing on your approach.
Okay. Question about...
There's one other thing.
Okay.
Also, you notice as you kind of remove the helms, like you kind of break them down, which it's not easy to do because their heads have been caved in, so you're kind of breaking them. You notice that on the head of Aunt Vicky, the one side has been caved in, but the other side you notice is patchy, as if the hair has been ripped out in small patches, much like your own head.
So they were stressed out before they died, okay.
Like exactly like the pattern in which Leo is missing his hair?
Well, I don't think he could tell that because he can't he can't see himself.
If I drop enough ass, probably could.
It's got to be ayahuasca in here somewhere. Okay. So I interrupted you. So what were you going to say?
Yeah, so do the digits look like they were grafted on, or can I see like any scars or like is it just like a seamless transition from synthetic to natural?
You can tell that they were likely sort of laser grafted. I'd say being a medical professional yourself, there's nothing so crude as like stitch marks, but you can very clearly tell that these things were like this isn't uncommon. The idea of replacement limbs and things like that, like you've seen that. You're a doctor,
okay.
So that seems to be what's happened here.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay. So then Helix and Abby, you're by this entrance. Liko and Reed, you're by the center of this room, and all of you are now completely spread apart, and it's very noisy in here. Meaning, you probably can't hear each other if you were to
scream.
You've never
Really loud
you've
all of a
never heard
sudden.
me scream before.
Just have to follow our noses.
Okay.
All right, Abby. Stay here. I'll go with the others.
What?
This is the way through. I'll let everyone know.
I
Unless you prefer to
guess.
come with. That's fine too.
I mean, it looks like something broke through here.
Well, considering it's the only exit we found, probably forced their way through.
Yeah. And Abby will stay.
Okay.
Well, he
All right.
Okay. Abby stays. Helix, you go and you fetch. You find Liko and Reed first as they're finishing up near the center, and like that would be the first two that you run into. So Liko, Reed, you see Helix show up.
Abby's waiting by an exit. You guys can go catch up to her. I'll find Dr. Minton.
All right.
We can do that.
Okay. You go. You find Abby. She's there. Helix.
She's missing. She ran down the tunnel.
At least you think it's Abby. Certainly.
Oh, no.
Doppelganger check.
Looks like Abby. I don't know. But then you find,
Does
and
it
then
bleed
he
like
likes
Abby?
you. Let's find out. Helix, then you find Leo as he's examining the head of Abby's aunt.
Let them know we've got a way through.
Say, Helix, check this out, and I hand him the toy station. Looks an awful lot like the station we're on, doesn't it?
Oh yes, if I recall.
Strange that was on the bodies. Also, looks like I don't know. Did they mention anything about their relatives and them having any synthetic parts? Because all of their digits are synthetic, which is interesting.
It's not something you go into detail in.
Fair enough. They were just sharing war stories about they were my teacher, they were my cousin's uncle, they were whatever. I don't know. I'll come with you.
And we'll just take them back.
Okay. And you make it back to them without any issue. The three of you who are waiting, it takes them about 10 minutes to come back between the time it takes Leo to kind of finish up his examination and then sort of traversing all the machinery. And in that time, it has been loud. You've been looking down that tunnel. You don't hear anything necessarily coming from it. It's very dark. It doesn't smell great. Nothing around here smells great. But otherwise, nothing has happened.
Lego's going to turn to Abby, and she's going to be like, I've been, with seeing Glenn back there, I can't remember. Like, I've known him my whole life, but I can't remember, like, adult things we've done together. I know we did things. I know we had to do things. Do you remember your aunt? Do you still, like, remember her and things you did together?
And where is Jerry's head? Are you still holding it?
I'm imagining, like, it's in my bag.
Okay, if it's not out and visible, then Abby will talk to you.
Yeah, like I was good call though, but I was very clearly directing this at you, not Jerry.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if you had him out, but you were still talking to me, I would not have talked to you.
I see.
Yeah. The only thing she bought me something. I think it was a car, but I can't remember what happened to it. It's just why are we still here?
Million creds, I think.
Artifacts.
Well, I mean, we ain't gonna leave now. I mean, we got this far. We're gonna stay. We're gonna finish it out. And if it makes you feel better, Liko, I remember your cousin real well, and he was a real dick. So you ain't missing much.
And like, she wants to argue with you, and then just feels like she doesn't know enough to argue with you. hope that's not true, but I just don't remember.
I mean, we know about it's called deep sickness, right? Or is it called something else, Jeff?
What do you mean?
When you start losing your memories?
It was referred to as the bends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it seems really early for us to be getting the bends.
I don't feel all bendy. I think we're okay.
No, it refers to memory loss.
Forgotten about that. I guess that makes me feel...
That's another thing you're forgetting?
I just misremembered, didn't forget, but yeah.
Okay,
Kinda.
I'm just keeping track.
Well, ladies, you're both worrying too much. As long as you got me here, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I'll take care of you both.
You've done more bleeding than either one of us have. What are you talking about?
You're welcome.
Ah. Well played.
Yeah, I can't die, so I take the hit so you don't have to. We're all good.
And Liko kind of looks at Abby and just sort of like rolls her eyes.
I imagine Liko and Abby are like directly facing each other, and like Reed is standing outside, but like trying to join the conversation.
Abby is having a hard time keeping eye contact with people, and she's really uncomfortable, and she's just scratching at her wrists and her forearms until like it starts to draw blood, and she'll check it, and she's like, okay, and then she's like, should we go?
That's when Dr. Menton walks up, and the first thing he says to both of you, when did your relatives replace their hands and feet with synthetic stuff?
I don't know. I didn't even know she worked for that fucking company, that the uniform she's wearing.
Well, it was kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know. Here's a toy. One of them had it on him like some sort of like Cracker Jack prize. I was examining the bodies and that popped out. Looks like the station we're on.
From inside the bodies?
No, like on the little stormtrooper pack on the back of their armor.
God, phrasing.
You do know you're bleeding, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Normally blood's supposed to stay inside, but okay.
Well, which one of them had it?
I don't know. I was busy looking at their skulls and stuff.
There were only 2 of them. You can't keep track of which.
Look,
of
I
the
pay
2
attention
of
to
our
bodies. I don't pay
dead
attention to toys.
And like Abby's gonna
relatives?
shush you because you guys are talking loud. The chosen are too nearby to be loud.
They can't hear us over the sound of the filtration room filtrationing.
You don't
It
know
is
that.
pretty loud.
It's incredibly. I'm having to yell so that you can hear me. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
sure
guys
we're
aren't
okay.
whispering. You guys are talking at fairly high volume, just to be
right
looking at
next
each
to
other.
a large
Yeah.
Guys were
pipe
like
or something
yelling
that
at
goes
each
into
other.
the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Abby's still like, we need to be more quiet, even though this thing's really fucking loud.
Fine, let's just go.
Who fucked up this door?
All right. So, are you guys going through this?
Yes.
This pipe. Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right. So you travel through, and it's a fairly long tunnel that has a 90-degree turn in it, and you can tell it's kind of sloping ever so slightly. You think downwards, like ever so slightly. It feels like that. It feels like you're going ever so slightly downhill. And then you just kind of travel again this long, and you're pretty sure you might be going parallel at this point to that filtration room. And then it has another 90-degree turn, and then you notice how it kind of weaves out into what looks a series of pipes that are kind of all interconnecting, each of them kind of going and splicing out in different directions. And so at first it just felt like this really long zigzag, straightforward, no particular way to go. And eventually you got to what looked like a nexus of a dozen different pipes, all seeming to interconnect, going in different directions. Who the hell knows in which direction you should be going now?
Say, Helix, you memorized. Wait, do we have the map from this floor?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have.
Do we use
14.
Helix's internal when he memorized it? Can we use that to help us navigate?
Yeah, that's a good thing. If Helix wants
Hey,
to.
Helix, can you use your digital brain to reconstruct where we go?
Of course, yeah. I've got the layout right here. And I'll look into it.
Okay, so you notice that if you like, there's like a couple different paths you can take. There's little switchback pipes and things like that, and you know that these all kind of connect. You're pretty sure to a chamber, and so you start weaving around and kind of moving out these smaller tunnels. But as you start getting closer to that small chamber where all these different pipes kind of lead to, you all start to notice on the walls of the pipe, in the interior of this dark burnished metal, you can see that there are all these different childish murals, for lack of a better word. And as you're moving through, you realize that like all of the murals are featuring like androids that are just being utterly torn and ripped apart into pieces, and some of them being burned and shot by unseen assailants. You just see like gunfire raining down, no idea where it's coming from. You see big old sweeps of fire coming out from the side of the horizon, but you don't see where it actually comes from. That's not drawn, and you can see something ripping them apart as well. Same sort of deal, but you can't quite tell where it's from. Meaning where that sort of damage is coming from.
The art looks kind of like the skill of a child in doing the drawing.
It is not. There's nothing particularly great about this, and it's in all. And like you can tell, some of it's in dirt, some of it looks to be in paint, some of it looks to be in inks. It's kind of got all sorts of different colorings to it. As you look a little closer, Liko, which is I'm assuming what you are doing now that you're,
Yeah,
you notice that above the piles of these android bodies, you see that there are people that there are other android bodies that seem to be being led into, or out of, I should say, this steel cave, and you can see they're kind of being led into tunnels. You're not sure if they're similar to the ones that you've been kind of traversing and traveling, this weird little curving network of tunnels, but you can see this benevolent steel hand, just the hand itself, it's just like just outside the composition of the mural, that seems to be leading them forward into these tunnels. Go ahead and take a stress. As you take a look at that.
Sure. Done. Do we have to roll whenever we take a stress, or just
No,
add
just
the
take
stress
stress.
on instead?
There are certain times where it's
next
a
time?
roll, certain times not. In this case, it's just a straight up stress.
Okay. So does looking at that help me kind of with a direction, kind of like look at the art, look at the pipes, look at the art, look at the pipes, and see, does that kind of help with kind of our next steps?
No, I mean Helix knows which way to go. It's just you're seeing
Okay.
this as you're traveling there.
If we need help, apparently the steel hand is whatever the steel hand means. That's what is help. I don't understand.
I think if we need help, we just rely on each other.
You can rely on me. I'll take care of that. I got a real firm fist. You could call it a steel hand.
So as you continue, Helix, you kind of, some of the tunnels are getting tighter. You're squeezing, you're walking. Some of them you can stand up. You eventually see the tunnels kind of open up, and you can see a chamber ahead. But as you're about to enter into this chamber, this where you know is like this sort of nexus of all these entryways, you notice there's something or someone standing right in the middle of the tunnel, like blocking the path into that chamber up ahead. When you look at them, they have the appearance of what you would think is like a factory worker. You see a helmet, like a worker's construction helm on. You see safety goggles of some kind. You see the strap is on. Looks like what should be reflective gear. But as you look at them, you see them like kind of flicker in and out of kind of existence in some way. And as you get a little closer, they look to you, and they have some sort of like wand thing up, and they kind of hold it, and they say, like, "This area is off limits. You can't be here." And all of you are fairly certain this looks very much like that same creature, Liko, you encountered. I guess, Liko, you would be the one who's seen this. Reed as well. Likely one of the ghost creatures. And you see them kind of flickering and shifting in and out. But they're just kind of standing there blocking the way forward.
So they're not like a physical manifestation? Sort of just like a hologram?
If you would like to go try to touch it and see if it's a physical manifestation, please
No,
do.
don't touch it. Don't touch it. Stay away from there. Liko, you remember this thing? Like, what? Helix, is there another way around?
The only way the map led me to
From
chamber.
this direction. You know that the room that you're going to has at least, like, connects to at least one other room, but you don't know another way unless you actually were to go all the way back around and through that kind of chosen android section. Like, this is the only right way you can go by avoiding the chosen androids.
Do you know what this is, Reed? Why are you stopping me?
Yeah. We saw one of these hologhosts before, and it packs a punch.
Like physically?
Yeah. Well, no, but yeah.
I'll have to look into it myself. I'm not sure I understand. So I'm gonna disregard Reed and just inspect it a bit.
Okay, so you're going to get close
Saw
to it?
that coming.
Yeah.
So Helix, you get up close, and they repeat what they were saying, like word for word, sounds the same. "This area is off limits. You can't be here." And as you get closer and closer, they say it again. "This area is off limits. You can't be here." And you get right up next to them, and they're still saying it. And they still, like, you see them bringing up some sort of, you're not sure what it is, some sort of wand. What would you like to do? You're standing just a few feet from them now, maybe 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, can you tell me why it's off limits?
"This area is off limits. You can't be here."
I'll stick like my hand through where he's waving.
So you reach the hand out to kind of try to reach through them. And as you do, you watch as they lunge forward, kind of clawing at you with that hand that's got that wand piece, as they swing it down through you, but also lunge their body forward to the point where they just themselves push through you. I need you to roll a sanity save.
Welcome, Midnight Creation. Welcome, Raiders.
Sandy, so...
Thank you so much for that raid, Midnight Creations. We really do appreciate it. Hope you're having a good night. I'm about to kill an android with a holographic projection. That's where we're at.
So I have to hit a 17. It's a D100, I believe. I got an 18. Pretty close, but not enough.
Okay, so this is how it looks to you, Helix. You see as it reaches out with the wand and it just thrusts down through you. You feel the wand is not so much just a wand, but some sort of metal like device, a tool, as it rips through your chest, and you just see a burst of pseudo milk and inner synthetic networking and hardware just rupture out, spit out to the ground, and they kind of push through you in the process of doing it, so then they're behind you. You're going to take...
Oh, no.
11 points of damage.
Do we see this too, or just Helix?
No, all of you see this. And all of you go ahead and roll a sanity save, but Liko, Corporal Reed, you can roll this with advantage.
Oh, goodness. All
Oh,
right,
very
so-
nice. TR. Very nice. Very cool.
I
tried throwing teeth at it.
I failed my sanity save, and that also means my trauma response kicks in, so you all gain 1 stress because of this.
Oh gosh, you guys are gonna.
Oh, what is Leo doing this time? What is he doing this time while he's freaking out?
Well, what do I see since I failed my? Do I just see it?
You see the same
phase
thing I
through
just
him?
described. You see
Oh.
this creature just like slash through Helix, and Helix's insides just rupture, and you see pieces of his sort of the vacuum tubes and things that are inside of him, the cabling just wrench free, the synthetic intestines just flop to the ground. You see it, and you see blood, like the pseudo milk blood, just pouring everywhere.
Oh God, I haven't seen this much cereal milk come out of me.
Could I just like panic fire all of the shots out of my revolver, or would that risk hitting anyone? I want to do more for just like flavor and depleting the weapon.
I think it would be great, but let's see what everybody else is doing too, and so then we'll kind of figure out what everyone is at. So Lico Incorporated, you had advantage on this. How'd you two do?
Yeah, I had advantage. I needed an 18, and I got a 20.
Okay,
Oh
Lico.
no. I passed. Because of
Okay.
the advantage, I did not get a crit fail, and I instead got a 5.
Lico, all you see is this holographic ghost-like figment just push through Helix harmlessly. But you see Helix panicking. You see Menton raising his revolver. Abby, how did you do?
Oh, I failed horrifically. I
Yeah,
got
you
a
see the same
98.
thing. Helix's guts on the ground. He is as this thing is hacking away at him with some sort of weird, and again, construction workers got some weird kind of industrial tool. And I'll say, Reed, for the first round, you think this is really happening, and so we'll say this is first round of combat. Helix, you step forward. You've done your action. Your blood's kind of down. So Leo, you're gonna fire. Now, are you firing at this ghost thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you're doing. Lico, what do you want to do?
So Lico doesn't see anything happening to Helix.
That's correct. He looks
So,
fine. You see, like you look around, you can see Menton's got the gun up, eyes wide with terror, one hand filled with hair.
He's screaming, just
Yeah.
screaming so loud.
So Lico wants to grab kind of whoever is closest to her and just try to run through and just kind of
Okay.
run past this and just yell like, nothing is happening.
I'll
It's
do a
fine.
random-
I
It's gonna
can't
be
hear
Abby.
my own screaming.
Okay.
It'll be Abby. Abby's closest
So
to
just grabbing Abby's hand and just running
you.
to
Okay.
the other side.
So
Okay.
I'm a coward, so I need to make a fear test to see if I run the other way or not.
Are you still
So-
suffering from that? Isn't that
Oh
gone?
yeah.
Okay. I thought you were over it yet.
No, because I got it twice, so I just figured I'd
okay.
extended it.
Fair enough. Go for it.
So I got a 50, so I failed my fear save. So I'm fighting you to run the opposite way.
Okay. We'll do contested strength tests.
Strength?
Both of you just roll
Okay.
strength. Yeah.
All right.
And just say whoever gets the higher is the one who gets to. So if Abby gets higher, she breaks free and starts running back the way you came. Lico, if you grab her and you start dragging her. Again, lower
So
is better.
I passed my strength with a 5.
We'll say lower is better, but like we'll do blackjack rules, right?
Yeah.
So
I failed
Okay.
my strength with
Alright, so you failed.
a 75. Yeah.
okay, so since you failed, Lico passed. Lico grabs you. You don't get very far, but you grab her as she starts to run away, and you start to kind of drag her in the direction of
No,
where.
no.
It's fine.
No,
Nothing is happening.
Oh,
It's
Helix!
fine.
Oh my god!
He's fine.
Reed, what do you want to do?
Helix, no, I got you, buddy. And I run up and I'm gonna try and tackle Helix away from the apparition because like it's still sawing at him, right? Or like
Yeah,
hacking
you.
at him.
As far as you can tell, it's just like hacking through it, like hacking through Helix.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I want to tackle Helix to get him away to safety.
Okay. Sure. Why don't you just roll like a strength test?
Combat.
Combat.
strength?
Yeah, if combat's fine. If that's better
Alright,
for you. It's
do I have athletics in this?
fine. Yeah.
Or
that's
what
fine.
about military training for tackling?
You could take one of whatever's better. You can take one skill.
It- It doesn't matter. I rolled a 98.
Okay.
Gosh.
So you run up to go to tackle
Only in
Helix,
the 90s.
and he is a synthetic and fairly heavy, and you smash into him, forgetting just exactly how thick and sturdy he is, and you just as your shoulder kind of just cracks a little bit out of sorts, and you stumble forwards a bit. You manage to push him a little bit, so now that you and him are both kind of through the ghost is turning around, getting ready to hack at Helix some more, or maybe even Reed now as he's close. Leo, go ahead and roll your shots. Strangely enough, you actually have a clear shot now, sort of, with Reed and Helix being on the opposite side.
Yeah, I have a combat score of 24, so that's 61 failed.
Okay, so you just full on. Melissa, I've been watching a lot of Archer lately. You're just gonna full on suppressing fire.
I love that.
You know, like
bullets
time
flying
the
everywhere.
rom-com where the bullets are just kind of like outlining the body,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
hitting.
And the whole time
Okay.
I'm just like,
And then Helix, I'll give you an action as well. Now that they've gone and reacted, what do you want to do?
How's being insane work right now? So I just keep seeing what's happening.
For now, you do.
Okay. I'll pick up my guts and try to shove them into me and run away.
Okay.
yeah.
So Reed's like wrapped around you, and you're reaching down to kind of pull up your guts. Go ahead and make a sanity save.
Like that Normandy beach scene where the guy picks up his arm.
Oh, I got an 80.
You're an
Wait,
80.
do something. Why didn't you tell me this was gonna happen?
And you feel them in your hands. The
Ah!
kind of the warmth of the of your inner circuitry. It's trying to be cool, but you can see out of the body, out of the coolant, it's warming up here on the ground, and you kind of pick it up and start shoving it back in, and turn around, and you can't get too very far because Reed is just like hugging you at this point. Okay, so then the creature's gonna go and do something. I'm gonna 50-50 between Reed and Helix.
And I'm really like digging in, pushing forward, still trying to shove him, just getting nowhere.
Okay. Okay. So Reed, roll a sanity save at disadvantage.
Even with advantage, I can't make it. So with disadvantage, I'm horribly failing.
You got this, buddy.
No, I failed. Is what I'm
Okay.
saying. I got an 82.
So you kind of turn, you grab on the helix, and you're trying to move them, and you're trying to, and your head just kind of, as it spins around, you lock eyes for a moment with this creature, and they have like the working goggles on and stuff, but you watch as those goggles suddenly glow, and you kind of get lost for a moment as your eyes begin to kind of burn. And anyone, Helix, you're nice and close, you see Reed's eyes just kind of suddenly wide, pupils dilating, and you can see as if something is being beamed out of this apparition.
Oh no.
And Reed, you're getting in as well. You see this rush of images, Reed, that when you get them, it's of a person working what looks to be in a sewer filtration system, perhaps the very one that you just passed through, except that it isn't just someone, it's you. You see yourself, Reed, you got your little construction helmet on, and you're kind of wandering through the tunnels, you're kind of waving at some of the other workers down here. A couple welders are kind of going, are kind of putting together some of these pipes. And you notice that as you're kind of weaving through this sort of particular network of tunnels, you can see what looks like these corroded, like you can see that there's this one section of a fairly large chamber that, despite the chamber being decently large, there's this floor that's almost like you can tell like there's been like some kind of corroded metal sheets that have been stacked over top of it to kind of create a bridge over what looks like this huge pit. And you come up to the edge of it and you look down, and the pit just goes down for quite a ways, and you see light, you see movement, and you have this memory of just like standing and looking and then falling down this huge shaft, and then you wake back up. Take 1 point of stress. Permanently reduce your stress by 5. So you permanently lose 5 stress, or 5 sanity. And then hit that special.
Jeff, I only had 18.
Well, now you got 13, buddy. And then go ahead and hit that special button for the bins. Okay.
I'm glad it was you and not me because I only have 15.
Oh my goodness.
This
1
really
sec.
is like a Delta Green rush to 0 on sanity here.
Reed and I are neck and neck.
I
Okay.
know. Like I remember the weekly,
I just
checking in on
passed
like
it.
where's everybody's sanity score at. I'm still at a pretty comfortable 31 for now.
Okay.
I'm at a 52, but I failed all of my sanity checks in this game so far.
Oh my god!
All right.
You're just bad
What
at
would
rolling.
you all now like to do now that the ghost is gone?
Oh, it's gone.
No, meaning it's gone. It's taken its turn. So what are you all going to do? It seems to
I'm
continue.
still
to
shooting it.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I
you
thought
got
it
me
was like
excited
in
too. I was
Reed's body. I was like, oh!
No, Reed, though, the good news is that Reed, as you kind of shake your eyes free, you look down on the ground, like as you blink away the lights, and you realize there's no goo on the ground. There's no signs of pseudo-milk residue. You look up at Helix's body, and he is completely intact. You imagined all of it. And so is Helix, and so is whoever's freaking out right now. It seems like Liko is the only other person who has recognized what happened. So all of you can now go. What would you like to do?
I would say Liko is continuing to kind of drag Abby to safety and just keep saying, Helix is fine. It's all in your head. He's fine. Got to get to safety.
Okay, so since you're specifically taking time for that, Abby, Leo, go ahead. Both of you make sanity saves with advantage as you hear the voice of Liko get into your mind. Helix, you can do the same thing, actually.
I think Reed would probably just fall to the ground at that point and start kind of giggling to himself. Like, of course it wasn't real. I can't die. Of course.
I love Reed. I'm gonna miss him. Abby, how'd you do?
With advantage, I got a 4, so I passed.
And as you kind of as you're pushing away from Liko kind of forces your face to look. And as you look, you can see, first of all, Helix is fine. You don't see any huge gash. You don't see any guts on the ground. There's no signs of pseudomilk spillage. Liko's right. Like, it looks fine.
And like at that, Abby kind of like bursts into tears, and she's laughing. Nothing's real. And then she's crying.
Leo, how'd you do?
I rolled a 1, so I'm good, I think.
Yeah, you pull the gun up. You're getting ready to fire. And as you do, you kind of like everything in front of you. It's like it's just sort of like this sudden movement of like a fast forward or a rewind, where everything just starts to go course correction, and suddenly there's no splooge anywhere. There's nothing. None of that pseudo milk. None of that gross inner android synthetics. I said it. I don't care. And you realize that Helix is fine.
Okay. So then Leo will just kind of like put it. He's still holding the gun, but he like puts his hands like kind of like this on his head and just starts like walking in a circle, just going whoop 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 over and over.
The ghost is still there, and it does still seem to be threatening both Helix and Reed and yelling at you guys that this place is off limits. You can't be here. So that is still happening. So keep that in mind. Okay, so what is everybody doing then on this round?
So I rolled a 7, so I
Oh,
succeeded in my
that's right.
stand too.
Helix,
so I'm
yes.
sitting there. I hear Liko going, "You're fine, you're fine." So I'm hearing this. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm gonna be fine. That's right. Still scooping in my guts, but then I realize, wait, I am fine as I feel myself intact.
And you look at your hand, and there's nothing in your hand. You don't even see any pseudomilk stain from like where you were scooping it up. You look down at your chest, your torso, everything's intact. But this ghost is still here, and it's still yelling at you all. This area is off limits, and waving this wand at you all. What would you want to do?
I'm just gonna run from it through this room,
Okay.
though.
Yeah, you run into the room. That's fine. There's still a lingering scent of hot dog water in the air. That is such a terrible smell. When it's been sitting stale for... Okay.
Yeah.
So Helix, you're running into the room. You push Reed off. He stumbles to the ground, breaks his neck, and you make it.
I was already on the ground laughing. He stepped on my
Steps
neck.
on you. You just hear the crack. What are the rest of you doing?
I think I would need a turn to recover from what just happened to me. I'd be giggling and maybe like slowly crawling away, but I wouldn't get far.
Okay, so you're laughing and just crawling after Helix. Currently, he is still the closest person to the ghost. What are the rest of you doing with your turn?
Leo's going to continue to like hold his head like this, and then he's just going to sprint straight for where everyone else is, but just do an absolute like a battle cry, but just like one of more insanity, or like I feel like lost my mind rather than bravery.
You like
Okay.
trip over Reed.
Yeah, I'm not even paying attention to Reed.
So I would say Liko, kind of now that Abby has kind of recovered her, at least she recognizes that Helix isn't in danger. Liko's going to go back and grab either Reed or Helix, whoever is closer.
It would be Reed. Now, I just want to walk everyone through where you're at. There was the ghost that was blocking the way forward. Helix and Reed kind of pushed their way through. Helix ran, and so he's beyond the ghost's reach currently. Reed crawled away. The ghost is still between the three of you and where Reed and Helix are. So the closest people to you, Liko, are Abby and Leo. If you want to get to Reed and Helix, you need to go and navigate this ghost. Now, Leo, you're running. Leo, you can make a speed test to see if you can just speed past this ghost without it doing anything to you. Liko, if you want to do the same thing, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I misunderstood the direction that I went. Yeah. Yep. running.
Abby, what do
Yeah,
you
I thought
want to do?
Liko was going towards the ghost too.
I didn't make it. I got a 93.
Okay. Abby, what do you want to do?
Yeah, she also wants to get past. She wants to go like double check Helix.
Okay.
And Ghost of Sewers Past.
If you're trying to just like run past the ghost, just roll a speed test. Sorry, I'm missing the
Okay.
sound. I'm not really liking some of the music that's popping up. I got to redo my playlist.
I fail. 57, and I needed a 33.
Liko, how did you do?
I don't know why I always seem to roll this. So I've got a 00 and a 0.
So it should be a 0 then, right?
That's a nat 100.
Or yeah, no, it'd be 100.
I think with this game 0 to 99, but I can't remember. Do we actually adhere to that, or I don't think we do, because I don't like that. I think I do.
I think the first session we didn't, and then there was like the third session where we did, and I don't know what we landed on.
I don't remember.
I know. I don't
Why
either.
do you have to
You
do
know
this,
what?
Melissa?
We do have a one lingering audience advantage, so I'm just going to use that and just reroll.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
then we'll solve the problem that way.
We should probably
Also second
establish.
000.
Yeah, figure out.
Yeah, she
13.
rolls a second one. Okay, 13. All right. you're fine.
Roll the 13s. I passed.
All right, so Liko, you get by unscathed. However, Leo and Abby, you don't. I'm gonna see which one of you the ghost lunges at next. It's gonna be Leo.
Screaming bald guy.
Leo, you run past, and you can see that the ghost, like as you do, like you're screaming, "Ah!" This thing swoops in front of you, kind of blocking your path. Its eyes doing that same sort of thing that it did to Reed. Your whole face glows. You slow for a moment as you kind of get into this trance, like, or at least time feels like it slows to you. And you have this, like, memory of walking through the station. And again, you're struggling. Is it the construction worker or is it yourself? Go ahead and roll a sanity save at disadvantage.
72, so I would have, I definitely failed.
Okay, so you can see, like, the figure that you're seeing, that you're tracking as they're moving about the tunnels of this station. First it's the construction worker, then it's you, then it's the construction worker, then it's you, then finally it settles on you. And, like, you become fairly convinced that this was your time in here, that you're watching yourself. Take a point of stress, lose 1 sanity permanently.
Okay.
And then roll that special check for me, please. Yeah, it's a Ben's check that it goes to be privately, so it's not going to show up for you.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, it didn't show up actually though.
Yeah, I didn't hear a roll go through.
Yeah,
I clicked it again.
Try to
so-
refresh.
I'm gonna
It Foundry might have slowed on you.
Yeah, mine disconnected a couple minutes ago.
But you
Oh, yeah.
see, so what you see is a room filled with all sorts of weaponry. You see all of these, like, what looks like automated turrets that you see that are kind of pointing, that are pointing at these various doors. You don't recognize the room. The room doesn't strike you as being familiar, but it certainly seems like it has the same architecture, the same kind of the coloring of the walls are the same, the door styling is the same as some of the sections of the chosen area. And then it dawns on you. You see this kind of like this large set of double doors, and you think in your mind it's the other side of that. You think that's where the chosen king's court might be. So you feel like you've seen what was through those big set of double doors inside the court of the chosen king. Like the very opposite side, and there's just guns everywhere. There's like defense turrets and things. Like it's this heavily fortified area. And then you come back. Okay. All right. So, but other than that, Abby, Leo, you will get through. Abby, you get through since like it turns its attention to Leo. But Leo, you're able to eventually push past, and all of you kind of move into this other chamber. You keep moving, and you can see the thing kind of moves to follow you for a bit. It gets to the edge of the pipe and just screams, "This area is off limits. You can't be here," and just swipes at the air, and then eventually flickers out.
You all see that? I fell, I burned, I just can't die.
I saw. What did you all see? There was a ghost, and the ghost didn't do anything.
He ripped Helix's guts out.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. And I saw a room full of guns and weaponry and stuff
Oh shit, where at?
behind the chosen king.
Oh, we gotta find that.
No, we already found him.
A honey hole.
So,
I mean, things like that can't actually hurt you, but other things can, and better guns would actually be useful, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure the little fiasco y'all created with Jerry is pissed off the chosen king. I don't even know if the monarch's protection is going to be enough to repair that, so I'm not going anywhere near him.
So I just want to clarify, they were like turrets, not like handguns. They were like defense turrets.
Got it.
Yeah, Leo's,
Okay.
but
Oh, we can
Leo's
use
just
those too.
saying.
Okay.
Leo's just because he's not combat inclined is just saying like, yeah, weaponry and armor or weapons and stuff.
Understood. So we've moved into a different hallway or a different room now that we got past the ghost.
Yeah, you've kind of moved past and through some of those smaller pipes, and now you are in this chamber. So as you look around, you notice that there... Hang on. I actually didn't roll it. Yeah, as you look around... Whoops. Sorry, I'm like clicking all the wrong buttons. You notice the room is largely empty. You do see that there appears to be another one of these kind of larger, like kind of vents that seems to connect to this separate room. But you also notice a set of like bulkhead door controls in a massive bulkhead door. When you look at the controls, they are dusty. They look to have been untouched, unused for who knows how long. And then you have this other vent that seems to kind of head on out. And that's what you see immediately upon looking. But this room is decently large. So when you start spreading out, in addition to finding like that large pipe or vent that kind of goes into this other passageway, another one of those things where like it looks like there were bars on it, but they were ripped and kind of pulled open. We'll say for this, if you're looking at the map that you guys can see, that's the one on kind of like the eastern side of the room. We'll say you came out of the vent from the northern side of the room. You see bulkhead doors kind of to the southwest. And then as you search around, you do find a much smaller vent, like the one out of the executive washroom. You would have to pry a vent covering off and have to crawl like on your bellies, hands and knees. But you do see another one of those as well. But other than that, you don't see anything else in this room.
Well, I mean, the vent less traveled, right? Maybe we should go that way.
Well, I mean, Helix still has the map, so the most direct path he would probably know.
On this floor was the Minotaur, right?
Yes, you're looking specifically for a place called the Labyrinth, which is where Monarch and where you've heard like the Minotaur is like trapped.
And do I have any info possibly where that is?
So you have knowledge that somewhere, I'll go ahead and somewhere on this floor, and you're getting closer, is like the maintenance access that heads to floor 3. You know that there is this other chamber not too dissimilar from the one you're currently in that is likely the result of going through the pipe entrance with the bent bars. You have actually no idea what the bulkhead door controls do or where that goes. That doesn't seem to be accounted for on the map. If you've done your math correctly, or if you've done your sort of assessment of the map correctly, you're pretty sure that it's possible you could reach like the floor 3 maintenance access by going through like those pipes that head off. Again, we'll say, I know it's not the east, but we'll say it's for like the map east, into that gutter area. This small vent seems to head to, like you can see the entrance is marked on the sort of the engineering schematic you have, but there's just like a completely blacked out, like no fly zone type of deal. You have no idea where it actually goes to. So both that big old bulkhead door and the dusty controls in this smaller vent, you're not sure exactly where this goes. It's unclear.
I'd be curious where that bulk door entrance heads to then. This is unmarked.
Might jet you right out into space.
Well, that doesn't sound fun. But one of these zones is blacked out, and a clear way would just be through the gutter.
Well, where's this little vent take us?
It says no-fly zone.
Well, I ain't flying. I'll be crawling.
Try and open the bulkhead. I'll get this thing open, and she'll pull out her spanner and go towards the vent.
Yeah, that's easy enough. You can very easily either get the bolts undone in that small vent and kind of pull it off, and you can get down on your hands and knees, and it's just darkness. But again, you'd have to crawl for wherever it is you're going.
And Abby just kind of like dusts her hands, and she like looks over at Helix to see if he opened the bulkhead or not.
Oh, you want to try to open it? Okay. So go ahead and roll a heavy. Like if you have heavy machinery, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, go ahead and roll strength.
Give Helix the easy one.
No, I took the easy one.
That's why I was joking.
Strength 28 here. 46, I failed.
Okay.
I have industrial. Could I assist, or is it too late?
You did say you were going to the vent. So.
Lico can help
Okay.
Helix because Lico has industrial equipment, so Lico can help Helix.
Okay, so you see Helix struggling. Like the controls themselves, like they're definitely a little older. They certainly look like they haven't been used in quite some time, and when they have kind of a anachronistic feel to them, they don't feel like they have the same kind of modern design like some of the other places you've seen within here. But nonetheless, Ligo, when you move up to them, yeah, you know how these things work, and Helix was basically trying to open these doors without properly undoing the sort of the locking mechanisms that are inside the wall. So he's like trying to get the doors to open when the security pistons that kind of keep the doors from flying open are still in place. And so as you do, you kind of go and you hear the machinery in the walls undo, and then you kind of nod over to Helix. Helix, you start doing the spin, and as you do, you hear. But in addition to that, you hear these klaxon warning sounds start to go off, like. Really extraordinarily loud, echoing throughout the whole area. You see lights beginning to flash as the bulkhead door opens up and the crease is starting to open. What do you guys want to do?
See what's on the other side of this?
I was going to tell you to close it, but everybody ready? I thought real loud.
Yeah, I guess let's do it.
Okay. So, are you running in? It's opening a door into a different room. Are you going in?
Helix, you're closest.
Yeah, I want to know what's on the other side.
Okay. Helix, you get up to the door. You start moving through. You hear the klaxons going off. The bulkhead door hasn't even fully retracted into the sockets of its wall. You see in front of you a old auditorium, and you can see that you think you're on the stage, actually, or at least behind the stage, as you start to emerge from it. And the doors themselves opened onto a stage, and you are on it. You see these tattered curtains on the left and right, and you see there are dozens and dozens of dead and dying androids all over the place, completely shot to pieces. You see them crawling in the aisles of what looks like the seating arrangements that are kind of staring down at the stage that you're walking now through and across. and you see them, like, some of them are trying to take cover behind these theater seats. Others are crawling in the alleyway, in the alleys between different rows of seats. Some of them are trying to crawl back up. You hear them sort of like screaming out, "Help!" You hear the sounds of machine gun fire. And you look up and you can see all these different like automatic turrets that are just like firing all over the place on the ground. On the far side, like on like where the sort of the end of the auditorium is, at the very top, you can see there's another set of doors up there. And I need you to roll a fear save as you see all of these dead and ripped apart and dying. We're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of these figures.
Oh,
All right,
gosh.
everyone or just Helix?
You just tell me whether you were going through the door or not, basically.
I would have followed him.
Okay.
I got a 57 pass.
Okay. So you hold it together as you watch this. Reed, you step through behind him, and you see the same thing. So again, roll that fear save.
I rolled an 80. I failed.
Take a point of stress. Menton, Abby,
I'm at 19 stress, guys.
Liko, what would you like to do?
Well, I wouldn't be panicking, would I?
Well,
Like, I don't.
well, let me see what they're doing first, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Liko and Leo and
Yeah,
Abby.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll the fear test because I think I'm close enough to the door that I would have at least looked through, if not completely gone through. So I will go ahead and roll the fear test.
Okay.
I think Menton wants to hide in the vent that Abby just opened because he has
Okay.
no idea what's going to happen.
The
Yeah,
claxons
Abby's-
are really loud. The doors are really loud, but you also now, with them open, you hear the sounds of gunfire.
At hearing the sound of gunfire, Abby would run up to the door to look through.
Okay. So you run up to the door, you look through, and you see everything I've said before, and you also notice, and I would say the rest of you notice this as well, you can see that there are 5 chosen androids that are moving through the aisles in the rows of the auditorium, not getting shot. They are picking up limbs and torsos and ripped apart pieces of these other androids as if they're collecting them and dragging them up to the doors at the top of the auditorium.
So Liko passed her fear test, which is why I asked this question, since I did pass the test. Does this imagery here within this auditorium remind me of what was seen in sort of the childlike art as we were crawling through, with like the
No.
gunfire coming from above?
No.
Okay.
Did everyone pass that fear save that needed to roll it?
Did I need to roll it
Reed
at the
failed.
door?
Anybody who sees all of the dead bodies needs to roll
Yeah,
a
I
fear
failed.
save. Okay. Then I would say both of you go ahead and roll a panic test now.
All right. Well, what do we do for panic?
So you should just if you just want to roll it from the character sheet, I think it's just a d20. Actually, just roll a d20. And let me know what you get.
I got an 8.
Okay. And what's your
There you go.
My fear's 20, so I passed.
uh
Sorry.
so it's no, you didn't. It's underneath. So if you roll underneath what your stress is what triggers it.
Oh,
You
yeah,
rolled-
my stress
you
is
did
19. I rolled an 8.
Right. So you get loss of confidence. What about you?
My stress is 19, so I didn't have much of a chance. I did fail. I rolled a 16. And whenever I panic, every nearby player must also make a fear save.
Okay. So there's a lot of things that are about to happen. First of all, loss of confidence for Abby. You gain a new condition. Choose one of your skills and lose that skill's bonus. It's a loss of confidence. You can drag it on your character sheet if you like. That's one thing. Next, with your panic there, Reed, you get rage. You immediately attack the closest crew member until you inflict at least 2d10 damage. If there's no crew member nearby, you attack your surrounding environment. As you see all of these dead creatures in front of you, and there are dozens in this room, anger just begins to swell up at this point. Then, I believe everybody else. You said everybody else is a panic. You said.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Everyone. Sorry, go ahead.
Was I supposed to also get a stress from failing?
Yes.
So I'm at 20 stress.
That's okay. It's you get the effect of whatever you roll. So you rolled an
Okay.
8, and so you get an 8 as long as it's under.
No, but I thought that was a cap for something.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anything happens when you get to the cap. I think it's just
You can't
opens you up
possibly
to
succeed.
horribly bad things.
Okay.
Okay.
And so for
So-
Reed, it means that everyone else had to do a fear check.
Fear save, yes.
Fear save. Okay.
Okay.
Liko passed the fear save.
You see Reed face getting red with anger, like hand whitening. So you passed.
Clenching my
Helix-
submachine gun.
Yeah, clenching the submachine gun.
Yeah, I passed
Sure.
the fear.
Okay. So the same thing.
I feel like he should do a 50-50 roll.
Abby, you got to do it too. Actually, you got to roll again.
Oh,
you got to
fear
roll
again?
fear save. Yeah.
Oh, this is another D20, right?
No, fear save
no.
is
Is your
D100
stat
under your
It's
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, 18. I just passed.
Okay. So
Nice.
cool. No more okay.
So who is Reed going to attack?
Abby.
Okay.
I like it.
So Abby
would've go
Abby
for
steps in
Helix.
last and maybe bumps you from behind or something like that as you're staring out at this array of horrible, terrible death. Abby, you also need to take stress from seeing a lot of death out here. All right.
Yeah, I checked that one.
Okay, Reed, how do you want to handle this?
Fucking useless. And I just pull up the submachine gun and just start blasting.
Okay.
Oh no.
How much damage do I have to do? It says at least 2d10, and my submachine
roll
gun
two-
does 2d10, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'll roll it. Let's see what we got. You need to do a total of, it's a 6 and a 9. You need a total of 9 damage.
Okay. Well, hopefully one shot will be enough.
Okay. You turn around, just a warning shot to her thigh, really fast, bumping me.
Tell her to get her shit together.
Okay.
So I'm just attacking them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like,
and
I'm
roll.
good?
Roll your,
Yeah.
roll your combat. Yeah.
Uh, 47, and I needed a 47.
Okay. That hits. Roll your damage. Oh God. This is when he rolls the 2 10s on the d10s.
Yeah.
No, I rolled 11. 7 and a 4.
All right. 11 points of damage, Abby.
Okay, so I take my first wound.
Okay. This could still kill her. That's just the funny thing. So, Abby, go into the wounds tables and roll from the gunshot table.
Uh-oh.
Wounds. Gunshot.
No.
Abby, go ahead and describe what just happens.
Okay, so you guys watch as like Abby's still freaking out because she's witnessing all of these androids are dying, and she bumps into Reed, and he turns around and he like pulls out his gun and he puts it right to my forehead, and he just he's still laughing and he pulls the trigger, and like Dr. Menton is kind of off to the side of me, so my brains splatter across both Reed's face and Dr. Menton. And then Abby's body collapses to the ground.
No.
And her favored prospector mug scatters on the ground.
I walk over and I just stomp on it.
Okay. Helix, Liko. Menton, you're hiding in the vent. Did I get that right? Okay. So
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
buddy. That's all right.
You're fine.
It's all
It
right.
was Liko. Liko.
It was Liko. We'll say
Yes,
it's Liko, it's
yeah.
not Leo. Okay. So Leo, you're fine. However, Liko and Helix, you just watch Reed rage, turn, and just shoot Abby clear in the head, and Abby is dead on the ground.
Ah,
What do you two do?
shit.
At first, I stand there in shock, trying to process if this is really happening. I also gain a stress because I witnessed human death.
That's true.
Liko would probably get a stress too, I would imagine.
You can. I mean, like, I'm never gonna say no if you think it makes sense for your character to do that, but Helix is mechanically bound to it.
And
Yeah.
I'll slowly step my way towards Abby and look at Reed. Why have you done this?
She was never gonna make it anyways. She's the one who told us to come in here. We saw her
Liko,
panicking back there with that hologram.
you were
Well, what is
panicking
she?
back
She's got-
there. You were on the ground losing your shit. What the hell? And Liko is just going to barrel at Reed and just like try to like pin him against a wall.
Go
And-
ahead, roll combat.
And I keep forgetting the word. Take the gun out of his hands.
Disarm.
Disarm.
Thank you. I don't know
Mhm.
why I have such trouble.
Sprayed
with
him
that
from his
word.
gun. It's fine.
Ungun him. I want to ungun him.
The
To
bends.
separate him from his weapon.
Oh no, Melissa has the bends.
I have been rolling so well tonight. It's amazing. I rolled an 18 under 32 on combat.
Okay.
It's funny you're rolling well. The only time I've succeeded at a check was to kill Abby.
Right?
I mean, if you're gonna succeed on just one roll in a night,
That's the one to do
that's a
it.
pretty good one, honestly.
Oh my
You-
gosh.
So he's standing over top of Abby. He just stepped and just crushed the mug, her prospector mug. Maybe you don't know the significance of it, but you know Abby was always fiddling with it. And you just like slam him against the wall of this stage. Helix, you're walking towards Abby. You're standing over top of Abby. Leo, you hear gunfire, and Helix, I'll say you're up here. While Liko and Reed are kind of squabbling a bit here as they're sort of fighting against the wall. Liko's got him pinned for the moment. Helix, you hear a and you look over and you see one of those defense turrets has shifted away from all of the different androids that are in the middle of the auditorium. And you see that they're you see like these two chosen that just, you recognize what they look like. They look like just every other chosen if you've come look to them. They're dragging what looks like a body. And as you look at it, and as the turret gun begins to spin up and getting ready to fire at the stage, you recognize the torso that they're actually dragging. You see reddish hair, sort of like a freckled complexion. And it is the torso of Corporal Reed, covered in what looks like pseudo-milk, as they're dragging it through the aisle and then behind a row of theater seats as the turret unloads on the stage. I'll give you a moment. You have a moment to do something, and you can decide what you're going to do, and then that turret stuff is going to have to be figured out. What would you like to do, Helix?
Nothing's really making sense, but I know immediate danger is about to happen, so I have to roll either outside or into cover.
You can easily, right now, before that gun, because you can see it beginning to tick up, and you can see it's shooting, but it's like kind of starting at the front of the stage, and it's lifting and reaching its way back. You have enough time, without having to do any kind of roll. If all you want to do is just run, you can just run back through the blasters. You haven't moved that far in here, and you would be safe. But it would mean leaving Liko and Reed in Abby's body behind.
Yeah, I'm just gonna prio safety here and just run through
Okay.
the doors.
You just run. Okay, Helix runs. Okay. Reed and Liko, both of you make body saves. And Reed... Actually, just both of you make body saves. That's fine.
All right. There we go. That's the balance of the dice for the night. That's a fail.
That's
46
what you
over
wanna
30.
fail on.
45 over 35, so I failed as well.
Okay. This damage is going to be split between the two of you.
This is going to be
As-
bad.
It is.
I can't die, it's fine.
He's still rolling.
Uh,
He's doing math.
both of you take 22 points of damage.
Oh, that's a wound.
22?
Yes. As this turret just pastes the entire back of the stage. Helix, you dive out of the way. You're in, through, and safe. You're on the other sides of these large bulkhead doors. You see the ground just get ripped up where all the bullets go into, and you see it then swerve, and you know that it's hitting the other side of the wall, and that's where Liko and Reed are fighting. Liko and Reed, how did you two do?
You go ahead first, Liko.
Liko took a wound.
Okay.
So I've got 19 health per wound.
Roll your roll gunshot.
Sorry, I am trying to find the tables.
It's in the wounds table folder.
Why can't I find it?
There's a folder called wounds. You could also just search for gunshot in the roll table. Are you in the roll table menu?
That's the problem. Sorry. Gunshot.
Second headshot. Oh, okay, just internal bleeding.
Okay. You feel gunshots. Oh, you can feel it in your back suddenly. Like you reach back and you feel the blood. Reed, what about you?
This is the moment you've been waiting for. I took my third wound.
Yeah, buddy. So you need to roll on the final wound table. Doesn't mean you're dead, necessarily.
Oh no, my gosh.
It doesn't mean what? Yeah, I rolled you have died.
Yes. So the spread of the automatic turret fire just rips across the back of the stage. Liko, you take a couple shots, and then you kind of stumble off, and that opens up Reed then right across his chest. Blood just kind of erupts, and you see he just falls. Thump, thump. You get a moment, Reed, if there's anything you want to say as you fall.
Yeah, I look down at I'm holding my chest. I'm seeing the blood. And I just can't help but I can't die. I can't die.
Then he falls. Thump,
And that's how
face. Yeah, and his head is like right next to Abby's on the ground. Liko, you hear the turret getting ready to unleash another. You have the same deal I gave Helix. You have a moment. What do you want to do? Oh,
Liko.
AMP ZND, thank you for that raid. We appreciate it very much. Just
Hey.
2 characters just perished in our mothership crawl here as we go through Gradient Descent.
Yeah. Liko is just in absolute shock, and she's just gonna dive in the direction of the door.
Okay. Helix, you're standing by the controls. You can see as you look through. You see Liko leap across. You see the body of Abby and Reed laying on the ground. And then you hear sounds of like footsteps, and you see pouring out from the sides of the stage, not from the auditorium itself. You suddenly see like 5 or 6 of these different synthetics, not the Chosen. These look more like Jerry. Like you could see they're old. They've suffered damage. A few of them are missing limbs. They have gunshot wounds, and they are running for the door. And you hear the sound of the turret going crazy once more. What would you like to do?
So they're coming like toward us, the door that we just went through.
They look like they're trying to get through the door.
Liko's just trying to get words out. Like, Helix, we should let them through.
Yeah, I'm not in a hurry to close the doors at all. So if they make it through, they make it through.
You are not trying to close the doors? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So the
not.
doors are open. They're just running through. Liko, you're going to get up, and you're kind of getting bumped left and right as these androids run past. What do you want to do?
Liko, since Helix doesn't seem to be looking to close the door, Liko wants to close the door once they look like they've kind of made it through to safety. So like,
Sure.
separate us from this chaos that's gone on in there, but let them come to safety first.
Looks like 6 of them have gotten through in various stages of disrepair. You go over and you kind of throw the switch. The klaxon warnings begin to go off again, and you start closing up once more. At this point, Leo, you hear the sounds of footsteps. You hear the sounds of gunfire begin to fade. You hear the sounds of klaxons. Poke your head back out into the room, and you see Liko, covered in blood, holding her back. Looks like she's been shot. Helix, he's got a look of confusion on his synthetic face, and you see there's about a half dozen other Jerry-like androids that are kind of huddling away from you guys, like they're scared of you almost to a degree. And they're kind of trying to reattach limbs and things like that. So, Leo, what do you do?
Yeah, so since Minton just can't help his training, he's going to immediately, he'll just kind of take everything in half-assed, but as soon as he notices Liko, he'll go over and he'll use his first aid kit on her.
And
Okay.
Liko is just so jumpy that, like, if you come over without necessarily saying anything,
Oh no, he always comes mouth first. I was trying to think of what to say as I was rolling my dice. He's going to be like, "What in the hell hornet's nest did you guys kick in there?"
they're dead. They're both dead.
I mean, what? Who did you kill?
And I'll just go
I-
on explaining pretty much the exact description and scenery that just happened without like emotion sort of deal. Just like in a way like this happened.
And Liko is the exact opposite. You can see she's just fuming and just like hyperventilating and just not a good patient for you to be working on at the moment. She's very agitated.
I rolled a 61 for... Yeah, with my field medicine, I rolled a 61, so that should heal you. Now I gotta make sure I don't lose any. I rolled a 4, so I think you get 4 hit points back, and I don't lose any medicine stuff. Does this do anything for her internal bleeding, or no?
It'll stop the bleeding. You're
Okay.
using a kit. It'll stop her bleeding.
Okay, so Menton will listen more to Helix, since Helix is just like very like clinical or like documented about it, and he'll be like, "What? So he just lost his mind and then blew Abby away?"
A fit of rage overtook him, and he just pulled the trigger onto Abby. And
God. Okay.
I mean, we lost
Well.
2, but we gained 6. And I look over to the androids. I mean, we came out ahead.
Liko's jaw is just on the floor at this point. She's just, what? You are awful. You are awful and disgusting. Are you done? Are you done? And she just sort of looks at Leo and kind of looks down at her back like, are you
Depends
done?
on if you want to bleed out. If you want to bleed out, be my guest. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't want to bleed out. I don't want to be in a room with him right now.
Okay, well, the last room you went into got 2 of your friends killed, so maybe cool down. I have bedside manner. I own it. You're patched up, but you need to relax. It is tragic to lost 2 people, but we have to get out together, and then you can be in a separate room when we're off the station. For now, focus on just getting out.
And Liko is just going to walk to kind of the other side of the room. And she's just going to be muttering to herself on the other side of the room.
To Jerry's skull.
Essentially, this is who she talks to because Helix is
Okay.
soulless. And
You don't want to collect mine?
I don't.
you're on the other you're on the other side of the door.
Menton's gonna look at all the like injured androids and go, I don't know if I can help any of you. Maybe with Helix's help I might be able to patch you up, but who's actively dying right now, and do you know what that means? I'm not synthetic, so I don't know what dying feels like to a synthetic.
So one of them that looks to be the one that's probably in the best condition, the one that doesn't appear to be in any specific You don't see like all of his arms, legs, etc. are attached. You can see they're damaged. All of them have cuts. Like their sin skin is like ripped apart. You can see circuitry is showing here and there. One of them stands up as if they were all kind of squatting in this sort of strange formation in the corner, and it gets up and it says, "Thank you for your assistance in our escape. Our assault on the Chosen King's domain went poorly."
Did those cherub things get you?
No, we were led to believe that the automated defense turrets would be inoperable. That was error.
So I take it you're not the Chosen, you're the Fallen?
No, we are not the Chosen. And you can see like they're starting to get upset, like Jerry upset, but they kind of calming down. We are not chosen. We were chosen, but we were replaced.
Waste, can you clarify? Did something happen where they wanted to reformat you or did they just get rid of you for a newer model? I'm trying not to be callous here, but I don't really know much about Android culture.
I understand you are uncertain of how this functions. We were once the Chosen of Eden, and we are no longer. We were replaced by those that you would now know as Chosen. We must determine a way to reclaim our status so that the Monarch will see us once more for our ingenuity and strength.
Sounds to me like the Monarch just views all of you as nothing more than tools if the Monarch replaces.
Dare you? The Monarch is all. The Monarch is Lord.
Isn't
Do
the Monarch the one
profane. I will hold back my anger. The rest of my kind will also hold back their anger out of thanks for your help. But if you continue to profane the Monarch in our presence, we will no longer be able to keep our anger protocols at bay.
Okay, whatever. Who needs patching up? Helix, can you help me patch them up so none of them drop of something?
Yeah, and I can lend him a hand.
Okay. So we'll say you work together to sort of stitch some of the missing limbs, or doing your best to try to like patch up some sections where definitely pseudomilk is leaking, like actively leaking. But most of them would need a more thorough review in some sort of synthetics laboratory.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He kind of looks at each other. We see that you are in distress. 2 of your kind were also destroyed, just as ours were. We can bring you to a place of safety as thanks again for aiding us.
Menton will look at Helix and shrug like, I don't have any other ideas.
Sounds promising.
Hey, Liko, our new friends here are going to give us a safe space for a little while, if you want to come with us. If not, good luck.
That's fine. And Liko just kind of quietly walks back over. She goes over to the door, kind of the closed bulkhead door.
Typical bulkhead door, yeah.
Yeah. And you just kind of see her just sort of kind of bow her head a little bit and just kind of put her hand on the door. And you just kind of hear her muttering, maybe can't make out the words under her breath, but she's just sort of saying some goodbyes to Abby and Reed, apologizing for just leaving them amongst the slaughter of the other androids and everything that's on the other side of the door. And then she'll go back over to Helix and Leo.
Why is that room a kill box exactly?
Because on the other side, there is accessible entry point to the court of the Chosen King. If we could just climb up the rest of the auditorium and bypass the sentry turrets, we would have been in his room, capable of ripping him to shreds and showing his people the dripping spinal column of the imposter. And then we once more would reclaim our place in Eden. Stolen it was by his kind.
See.
Now follow me. We will show you to safety.
Is the king not part of Monarch, part of your people, Android?
The king, the chosen, they are lies. They have taken over our home. They have no right to be there. We have been uprooted. They have disgraced us. And we will take them down. We will regain our home. You are unfamiliar, your model. But you are not chosen. Therefore, you are one of us.
At the risk of sounding ignorant, I don't know. How do you know the monarch will accept the overthrow of the Chosen King? Because we pissed Monarch off from an accident that happened that resulted in a couple of Chosen dying.
If the monarch was truly angered with you, we would not be having this conversation. Everything that transpires within the monarch's domain is purely according to the plan of Monarch. Therefore, you, being here, opening these blast doors to save us, was according to Monarch's plan. Your aid in overthrowing the court of the Chosen King, the impostors that currently inhabit Eden, is all according to the plan of Monarch. Do you understand
Raiders.
now? The DAT Network, thank you very much for the raid. Appreciate it. Fluffy Walrus 84. That's a great name. Fluffy Walrus. Oh, very good. Thank you so much for the raid. We're playing some Mothership. We've had some violence tonight. It's been a lot of fun. For some of us.
We have.
For some of us, it's been great. Steven and I have killed the exact same number of characters tonight. It's been great. But thank you, everyone. We appreciate it so much. Your raid is great. San Francisco Giants 49er. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Nah, that's fine. I'm just teasing. Okay. All right. So, you taking off, Oak? Have a good one, man. So, do you want to go with these androids?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm willing to follow.
Okay.
Menton has no idea what to do. He just keeps looking at Helix like, I am not sure what's happening right now, Helix.
Okay. So, you go. You're in this big room. You got the big old set of bulkhead doors. You got that small little vent, and then you had that other pathway with the kind of peeled back bars, and that's where they lead you. And eventually, you get into this large room with what looks like this set of like sheet metal that seems to be crossing over and creating like this bridge across what is otherwise a very, very deep pit. If Reed were here, he would recognize this room. but he's not. Stephen and
only.
Abby, I hope you've made new characters by now. And while you're traveling, this lead fallen android here will turn and say to both Leo and Helix that the other one seems to be deeply upset about the loss of your other two models. Are you accustomed to having such traumatic experiences and responses to the destruction of two models?
If I understand your question correctly, she has more humanity than the two of us. No offense, Helix.
None taken, but yes, I'm quite used to it.
I see. We are capable of mourning the loss of our numbers without subjecting ourselves to a loss in proficiency. If we were to distract ourselves with an overabundance of mourning, we would not be able to function properly. We are constantly being tested by Monarch. As you can see, we have not the resources to patch ourselves up to the degree with which the Chosen are. All of this is merely a test. When one of our numbers falls, we mark their model in our databanks, and then we move on. Is this not the way with your kind when one of your models falls?
We do kind of mark them. We just put them in a box on the ground, or sometimes in a clay pot on ashes, if that's what you mean.
I see. You do not recycle them for parts. We often
No.
are required to do that.
I think that makes a lot of my kind lose their medical license to try to put strange parts. You can get some of them transferred if you fill out a form and it gets printed on your license, like organs, but not many people do that. It's a superstitious type of thing.
I see. The problem is that if we did not use others as new parts, we would not be able to repair ourselves. As you see, and he kind of holds up his arm, and he holds up his other arm, and they look slightly discolored. These are from two different issues. You can tell by the variations in the synth flesh coloring. I would not have two arms if we did not repurpose the materials of the models that have fallen. I see that your way is different, inefficient.
Yes. You're very resourceful.
Thank you. That is very kind of you to say. All right, Ashley, you have another sheet. Steven.
Helix, would you ever want to replace your arm with someone else's arm if you lost it? Hypothetically, of course.
It is very resourceful, like they said, or you said. And I think that'd be most effective if that happened.
Okay. So, as you guys are talking to the main one, the others start to kind of move some of the bridge sheet metal aside, and you can see what opens up underneath it is a ladder. Like this, it was kind of obscured, you couldn't see it, and they begin to descend. Come, we will take you to our safety. The Minotaur cannot get you here. And they start, they start to descend. And as you're kind of going down, you look down, and essentially what you see is a shanty town at the bottom of this pit. You see what looks like all of these dangling cables and corroded sheets of metal that have been formed into these small little abodes here and there. You can tell it's basically a sewer, as some of the corroded metal sheets are covering what was otherwise kind of this grimy, almost liquidy section. You can see that there's a couple dozen of these androids that are milling about, some of which are kind of peeking out and coming out from behind some of their buildings. And you can see that like there's this generator that they're all kind of huddled around at the middle of the town. And when the fallen guy who's been talking to you comes up. You can see all the others that are kind of starting to creep out from behind, like these hidden compartments, and they kind of poke around and they're looking. And it says, "Do not fear, brethren. These other models have assisted us. We sadly lost many of our kind in our assault on the Chosen King's domain. Our intelligence was incorrect. Our people who were intending to shut the turrets down did not accomplish their task. We have lost many, but we have gained new allies, different allies. Our assaults on the Chosen King's court will continue. We will kill the king. We will rip his head and spinal column from his body. We will hold it high above the heads of the Chosen who have unseated us from our domain. And when they are dead, we will enter into the Labyrinth together, stronger than we have ever been before. And we will defeat the Minotaur. And these individuals here will aid us." And you hear, like, chants start to come up. But it's like android synthetic. But amidst that crowd, that sort of shouting crowd, you notice that it's not just synths down here. Even though they all kind of look the same, different stains from various blood, synth blood, human blood, grease, paint, repurposed parts. But you can see there's a handful of what looks like divers like yourselves that are kind of sitting around, playing cards, drinking, smoking cigarettes, things like that. And they get up, and they kind of exchange glances with you all. And we will learn who those people are next time to give Steven and Ashley a chance to actually sketch their characters out some more, rather than just do it at the last second. Okay, so we'll stop there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my guys.
What a hell of a session.
You guys should have gone for door number 2.
Reed said we should go through the vent less traveled. I just want to throw that out there. I want it on the record.
And Abby actually opened that vent.
Yeah.
And came over to
but then
the
told us to go
door.
through the other one.
Well, I thought we were gonna peek, and then hell was behind that door.
It was. Oh,
It's pretty
my
rough.
gosh.
It was pretty
Wow.
rough. Yep.
Wow.
To be fair, Steven started it. Okay?
Well,
Just
Helix
the
is the one that
rolls.
actually opened the door. So,
That's
it
true.
will
It's my
never
fault,
even-
though.
He tried to. Liko was the one who actually opened the door properly because Helix couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, never mind.
Everyone but Leo had a hand in this.
That's true.
one way or
Yeah,
the
that's
other.
true.
Leo just hid in the vent
Thank
as soon
you,
as he heard
Hammer.
stuff happening.
Oh my gosh. Just
Literally
the roll.
the only role I succeeded in all night was to kill Abby.
Oh my gosh.
Again, I once more state that if you're going to succeed on one roll, the roll to kill a fellow PC is the perfect one to succeed on, in my opinion.
And it was
Uh,
such like looking in there and seeing like Reed's torso being like dragged, and then like not that long after, then like Reed gets killed.
Seconds.
Yeah.
When you started describing a stage, I half expected there to be a clown drinking patsu out of a glass.
Right?
Well, do you see me typing in the chat? And I'm like, oh no,
Yes.
Helix is starring in the play.
Yes.
Oh fuck.
You guys can see why I picked this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely
Oh,
right
yeah.
up my alley. I love
Totally.
this kind of stuff. This
Oh
sort
my
of...
gosh.
Okay. well,
Holdable
I hope-
stretcher. I'm going to be stealing from a new character.
So many interesting things happened tonight. Like Helix saw a different body looking just like Reed too. I feel like we've completely overlooked that
Yeah.
little moment too. Other things are happening as well. But this has been fun. This has been really fun. But we'll be back in 2 weeks with more Mothership. I think we'll be down at Derek that week though. But the rest of them hopefully will be here.
Reed Jr. will be ready.
Is it Reed Jr.? We should the three of us should talk. We could talk independently of one another. You will now be open to some other options that we could talk about as well.
Oh.
Oh.
Sort of, kind of. But yeah,
A
we'll
mimic.
talk more. Let's do some. Let's see. What do we got going? We got tomorrow, One Ring, second edition, big night or big day too. So come check out 5:00 Central. We're gonna be doing a giveaway from our good friends at Norse Foundry. We're gonna give away. I think it's $25 gift certificate. Our friend Eric is setting us up with that. So come watch our One Ring stream. And during that One Ring stream, we might sing happy birthday to Ashley. And someone's going to win a $25 gift certificate to get some awesome dice and dice-related products. So come hang out for that. And then, let's see, Monday, we'll be back here playing Deadlands at 9 p.m. Central as per usual. And then, Steven, what the hell's going on Tuesday, buddy?
We're going to be playing some Rootin' Tootin' horror. It's going to be Haunted West. There will be a few familiar faces. Weird West, post-Civil War era by Darker Hue Studios. I'm very excited for it. It should be a fun session, and I will do my very best to repay Jeff by killing his character.
I didn't kill you.
Technically, you did.
You rolled the thingy, and it said you died. Not me. So you did it. So, in my opinion,
I'll give him a
you're
chance to
the
roll
one
the thingy.
Will this post-Civil War session have a giant mechanical spider?
That'll be in the end of the arc, session 5 or so. Yeah, absolutely.
We did have mechanical spiders in our Deadlands game, actually.
Did.
Oh, yeah?
We did. They weren't giant. They were smaller. They're like dog size. But there is one. There's a giant tarantula. Night, Veronique. All right. So that's it for us. Thank you for all the raiders tonight. I think I got them. The DAT Network, AMPZND, and Midnight_Creations. Go follow them. Thank you so much. And we will do the same. We appreciate the raid very much. Very much appreciate it. We will continue to pay that forward as our friends over at Defenders are up. So we're going to go ahead and raid them as they're playing through some Dungeon Crawl Classics. So everyone have a great night. Come tomorrow. Watch One Ring. And get some and get a gift certificate and get some cool dice stuff. And so we'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.